Welcome to the Visionary Chronicles, a business strategy podcast where we provide insight to those looking for creative, executable strategies built around the latest disruptive ideas, innovative cultures, product creators, and marketing solutions. Product ideation, your roadmap to success. Insanely great ideas are driven by visionary brands. And what I've seen over my years in working with brands such as Oakley, K-Swiss, TaylorMade, Adidas, all have had this culture and ingrained process of how they built their ideation program. And this process ensures flow through teams, starting with design and product, and then a power triad of what I call marketing and sales, where each is part of that process. But the key to ensuring that you maximize your ideation with your brand and with your company is ensuring that you have and embrace this culture of risk. Many companies say that they're risk takers, but for the most part, they lack the will to take that to the next level, either through an ingrained culture where risk has never been embraced, or a culture where risk is embraced, but not wholeheartedly inside of the company with the teams. And unfortunately, what happens in a culture like that, it bleeds through the bloodlines of the entire company. So what I've seen is both a process as well as a culture inside of the company embracing risk, embraces failure, but also understands the reality of the marketplace, that you need to have a product that's commercialized, it's right for the brand, right for the consumer that you're selling it to. But first and foremost is having that ideation process in place and ensuring that from the top down, that everyone is embracing the process through the culture and how the brand is positioned. And I say how the brand is positioned because when you look at premium brands, good brands, better brands, the different tiers in the marketplace, what you find is those brands at the lower tier are reliant on those brands at the upper tier to produce insanely great product so they can tear it down, find a way to lower the price point, and sell it at a commodity. I'm not talking about these brands, and these brands inherently do not have a process in place of ideation like premium brands do. I've always been associated with premium brands, fortunately, and the products that we create are driven through this process that I'm talking about in ideation. When you start with ideation and the process flow, it starts and ends with design and product. Now, there is this concept that I put in my book, The Visionary Brand, of this power triad inside of a company, which is product, marketing, and sales. And they communicate throughout the process. But this ideation process is absolutely 100% driven by design and product. And they need to have the confidence from the top down in order for them to execute against this process of ideation to ensure that the reality of where this brand is going forward is executed properly. So at the very front end of product ideation and this what I call roadmap to success, and why I harp on this process is that there needs to be a flow and also a commitment to be in a brand that embraces failure, embraces risk, but also balances that with the reality of the marketplace and the consumer that you're selling to. So all great brands that I've been associated with have all started with what they call a concept of breakaway design and technology. What I mean by this, and I'll go more in depth on the breakaway concept, but it's really something that's put on the board at the very beginning of the ideation process of executing something on the back end that actually will not just move you ahead of the competition, but will put you leaps and bounds ahead of the competition. And probably the best example that I could use of this would be Apple and their concept of how they invented the iPod. They not only disrupted the product category, they disrupted an industry, in this case, the music industry. But this all started with an idea in their head of having a product that was not only better, but actually a product that when it got extended into the marketplace would disrupt an industry, including a product category. Now, those are literally 1 in a million, but it gives you a concept of what I'm referring to when I say a breakaway design and product. Something that when you look at it is not a better mousetrap, but in fact is blowing up the mousetrap and finding a new, easier way of doing things that nobody else has thought of. What that allows you to do, if you realize through the ideation process, a breakaway design that now becomes reality for your brand, it moves you leaps and bounds ahead of your competition and gives you the ability on the back end to draw down these products and sell these at a different price point, which gives you a significant competitive advantage and one that very few in the marketplace are embracing, because it is a very difficult thing for people to want to embrace the risk it takes in order to successfully execute this type of ideation strategy. So along with process, you have to have a culture that embraces risk. And I always say failure is never fatal unless you quit. There's a few people in what I call the 10,000, well, I'd say 10,000 failure club, and this be Thomas Edison inventing the light bulb. Just found 10,000 ways that it was not to be invented. This is an interesting concept that not a lot of companies these days embrace. But having a process and a culture that does embrace risk, failure is not fatal, are brands that are truly visionary in the marketplace and are leaders in their categories. You can see it over and over again. Being successful is hard. Having a breakaway strategy is hard. But the end result is not only market share growth, category growth, but obviously respect in the industry as the leader, anticipating the next great product to come through your brand. So embracing that process and culture, committed to authentically being risk takers, not only for one product, but for a generation of products. Now, talking about the product itself and how do you come up with these breakaway ideas, designs, one thing that I found more often than not in the brands that I've worked with are that the products that come out of these breakaway sessions, we call them, are a lot of times products that aren't directly related to the industry. What you'll find is, in most every instance, you'll have a product and or a technology that's been adapted from another industry and put into the product. And a great example of that is Nike with the Flywire concept. If you look at the Nike Flywire, the design itself was actually adapted from was how Nike's design team actually looked at something that was outside the industry but could be adapted to their footwear. Nike was looking for a product that could actually provide stability to the foot inside the shoe but yet be lightweight, and this technology that they adapted turned into initially what was called the Flywire technology and then adapted to Flyknit. So what you see by this example is when we look at ideation and the strategies that visionary brands have as they go through this process, is a lot of times it's not looking at your competition. It's looking at those other creative companies that could potentially adapt what you're doing to put into your product category to take you to the next level. So when we look at the ideation of insanely great ideas, more often than not, you'll find adaptability to be a key to their success, not only through a couple of years, but when you look at breakaway products, what you'll find is they're generational. You look at iPod, you look at iPad, you look at the iPhone. These are all generational products that were driven by breakaway ideation design. What they did is they brought this idea to reality. That's another thing as well, is when you look at another industry where this happens, does not happen enough, is in the actual concept car side of the business, where I would say probably the most frustrated designers in the world are the ones that design concept cars, because more often than not, it never becomes reality. So it's very frustrating for them to have designs on the board that never become reality. So when we look at brands and we look at ideation, it's really got to be something that is difficult to achieve, adaptable in nature, and one that eventually becomes reality and then is marketed to your consumer and distributed. So being this breakaway idea needs to become reality, you want to be able to integrate this into your brand positioning. And if you're a premium brand such as a Nike or an Adidas or a consumer-driven brand, and you're on the premium level, you certainly don't want to be copying or providing commodity products. You always want to be premium. And in order to do that, to execute a strategy of breakaway is key to your success long term. So you want to make sure that whatever you do when you're putting product up or ideas up on the ideation board, that they're ones that you've never seen before, are difficult to execute, but easily integrated into your brand positioning if realized. These are all things that are criteria that great brands have been able to achieve over generations and why they're still around today. Those that have been premium, have lost sight of their vision, are ones that don't have a breakaway strategy in place, don't have a clear ideation process, and are looking towards their competitors to build a better mousetrap versus building a new mousetrap, as these visionary brands have done. So integrating this product into your brand positioning is a key component to ensuring that whatever you currently have in your product pipeline is something you can adapt and integrate this breakaway technology with. And I say product pipeline is another great example of great brands with great ideas that have brought these to reality. There's a lot of one-hit wonders out there, and although they have achieved success short term, did not have a front-end strategy of how they were going to continue to maintain that lead within their product category. You always have to be thinking about the next great idea you can bring to reality for your brand, and as a result, the product pipeline is built. If you are able to create a breakaway design and product, it does give you the capability of what I call surfing this product pipeline for generations. And again, the iPhone is a great example. Just because everybody knows and has an iPhone or a similar product, was a generational product that clearly, when you look at iPhone original through where we're at today with the iPhone 11, what you'll find is a breakaway product that has had generational drawdowns to that product at different price points to satisfy different consumers and markets. That is a key component when you look at your strategy for building your ideation process and a culture of building great products and putting those in the pipeline and bringing those to reality, but also ensuring you can bleed that out over generations on drawdowns at different price points to satisfy different consumers. That's a real key when you look at how do you build this product pipeline through breakaway technologies and an ideation process. But another piece of that puzzle that I'll go back to, which is very key, is you're going to have great designers, great product people that will gravitate towards a brand that has a ingrained culture of embracing failure. Failure is not final, and those brands that embraced failure are brands that also build great creative product teams that last for generations. People will gravitate towards that brand because of the culture that's ingrained with the product team, and also those at the head of those brands that are also embracing the teams and the ideas that come forth in this process. So integrating this into your brand positioning is a key component as well. Those visionary brands that understand failure is a stepping stone to realizing their vision are the ones that have longevity in the marketplace, will gain market share on a global scale, establish themselves as leader in the industry, will be the ones that will have longevity in the marketplace. So in conclusion, I would say in order to have a roadmap to innovation through a product ideation process, probably the biggest area you want to make sure of is that you're authentic in everything that you do from a product standpoint, ensuring that it's right for the brand, the culture, and the people that you're selling to. But you need to have a commitment from the top that everything you do is driven off a platform of innovation. For if you don't have a breakaway design process in place, ensuring that your longevity is established and continues for generations, you don't have a process. So have a process of free-flowing creative ideas, but make sure that process is authentic. That authentication bleeds through not only the product team, the design, but everybody inside of that brand and outside of that brand. Authentication is so crucial to a brand's longevity and value and brand equity. Many times, as Ralph Lauren had said, we're selling a lifestyle, not a product. Keep that in mind as you continue to build this ideation process in your roadmap to innovation, understanding who you're selling to and what the brand stands for. The brand is a living and breathing thing that you need to be aware of how you positioned yourself, what the perception in the marketplace is with the brand, and whatever you put out there is a reflection of the brand itself, what it stands for, and your culture going forward. So build a culture around breakaway creation, embrace failure, define your reality, commercialize your product, and enjoy generational success. Thank you for listening to the Visionary Chronicles, a weekly business strategy podcast where we provide insight to those looking for creative, executable strategies built around the latest disruptive ideas, innovative cultures, product creators, and marketing solutions.